I'm just going to send this. There we go. There's going to be, okay. And for your accounting purposes, I will record now.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Kathy Austin. I'm moderating this virtual informational meeting for the town of Morgan, Vermont. As has been warned, voting for the town of Morgan and school district articles will be by Australian ballot on Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. Access to this meeting is provided virtually by Zoom and by telephone. The meeting is being recorded and will be available on Northeast Kingdom TV's YouTube channel. This meeting is not a virtual town meeting. The purpose is to provide information, discussion, and to answer questions prior to voting tomorrow. It's not for debate, although it is an opportunity to discuss. No business is conducted and articles cannot be amended. Town officials present or on the call are Town Clerk and Treasurer Tammy Lee Moran, Selectmen Larry Labor, Robert Geyer, and Eric Pope, and School District Directors Danielle Blake, Kelly Paul, and Tammy LaCourse. Our rules of procedure are the following. Each article will be read, followed by questions and/or comments on the article. Participants are currently muted and will be unmuted when recognized by the moderator. There is no chat function, so if you wish to be recognized, please use the raise hand function in Zoom, or actually raise your hand. If you're on the phone only, press #9 to be recognized. I'll do my best to recognize participants in the order that I see them. When recognized, please state your name and the town of residence before speaking, since non-residents of the town of Morgan may participate, and we are required to keep a record of who has participated in this meeting. If you're asking about a particular item from the town report, please state the page number and the section so officials will be able to follow where you are. Please limit your time on the floor to about a minute. Everyone wishing to speak will be given an opportunity before a participant is recognized for the second time. And it will be on me to keep us on topic and on time in order to move through the agenda in a reasonable and timely manner. Since our local representatives are unable to attend in-person town meeting this year, they have submitted a brief summary of their work that I will read. So I have letters from both Representative Lynn Batchelor and Representative Brian Smith. So this is from Representative Lynn Batchelor. Hello, friends. This is an unusual year, to say the least. I hope this finds you all healthy. This is my legislative report for the past few weeks. The Vermont House is right into the heart of the session with the town meeting day break. A number of new bills were introduced, which puts us close to the 300 mark of total House bills brought to the floor. Bill introduction should start slowing down rapidly as we are approaching a few weeks from crossover where bills have to be passed and sent to the Senate for their opinions and consideration. I was appointed to the House Committee on Corrections and Institutions. We have had a very busy week of testimony as we continue to build on the Capitol bill. We heard from public safety as we consider upgrades to the Vermont Police Fire Academy in Pittsford. We also spent time on further review of stormwater issues with the Agency of Natural Resources. Testimony was given on the property and buildings on the now closed Southeast Correctional Facility in Windsor. It was originally slated to be taken over by Fish and Wildlife, but they have decided not to use the facility. We are now faced with finding another tenant within the state or selling the property. Our committee heard from the Vermont Rural Water Association asking us to reinstate the FY22 department request of $300,000 and the FY23 request of $200,000. I have been told that just a few days ago, E. Taylor Hatton School in Morgan received lab results that confirmed they are over the PFAS MCI and will have to begin remediation. It seems unlikely that CECF grant dollars will remain to help this facility and others unless more funds are made available. I will do my best to get more funding in the capital bill to help fix this problem. As always, you can reach me at lynnbatch@yahoo.com or 802-873-3006. Warm regards, Representative Lynn Batchelder. And then from Representative Brian Smith, to the town of Morgan and the residents of the town of Morgan, thanks for this opportunity. Having been appointed to the House Transportation Committee gives me a much closer look at where the dollars get spent. After numerous emails and many phone conversations with AOT officials, I received word today that the state will be using $800,000 to repair 4.8 miles of Vermont Route 111, a much needed piece of road work. I have a couple other bills that I have presented. House Bill 262 is a request for stiffer penalties for distracted texting and driving. This happens way more than it should and needs to be addressed. I believe that it will save lives. House Bill 165 is a bill to allow law enforcement to notify abutters when a sex offender is released. The sex offense pertains only to an offense committed on a minor child. Lastly is House Bill 92. This is a bill making strictly the American flag and the state flag the only flags to be flown on taxpayer-funded educational facilities K through 12. It has received some controversy. However, I believe that it will create a much-needed higher respect to our stars and stripes. Please feel free to call me at home, 766-4962, or my cell, 802-249-5920, or you can email me at bsmith@leg.state.bt.us. Thank you all for your continued support. Representative Brian Smith. So let's get started. Article 1, there is no discussion on election of town and school district officers. There is, however, a correction to the town report. One North Country school director is to be elected for 1 year remaining in the term rather than for a 3-year term. The information on the ballot when you vote tomorrow is correct. I'll read Article 2. Shall the voters of the town and school district vote a budget of $723,289.44, less the sheriff's department and appropriations to meet the expenses and liabilities of the town? Are there questions or comments? I'm seeing no hands raised.
They can hear us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Article 3. Shall the voters authorize the treasurer pursuant to 32 VSA S 4791 to collect current taxes? Any discussion or questions? Moving on to Article 4. Shall the voters authorize payment of real and personal taxes on October 28th, 2021 by 4:00 p.m. to the treasurer in person or by mail? Any questions, comments? Mrs. McKinney.
Which one is?
She's up in the top right.
Just
Oh.
below Kathy.
Point.
Right here.
Ah.
Sorry, on my screen, she's in
Okay.
a different place.
There we go.
I didn't raise any issue. I don't know why you called on me.
I'm seeing a hand, but it's probably just didn't mean to be there.
Not mine.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, I on my screen, it's probably it's my cursor.
oh,
It's me. It was me.
okay.
Okay, moving on to Article 5. Shall the voters of the town of Morgan vote the sum of $17,194 to the Orleans Sheriff's Department for law enforcement services and to direct the select persons to assess a tax over and above the budget sufficient to meet the same? Any questions and/or comments? Hearing none, seeing none. Move on to Article 6. Shall the voters appropriate $9,448 to the following social services agencies pursuant to 24 VSA S 2691? And you have a list of those items in your town report. I have lost all my boxes.
Wait a minute. Here we go.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments about Article 6? I'm not sure I can see you all.
It should switch back now.
Okay,
Does it switch back?
no.
There we go. Still not?
Yeah.
Can
Well,
I
Yeah, all the
change it?
folks on the
so do
side
you not
too
have
are
the same?
I don't have
screen?
part of
that.
it too. Not
If you go
everybody
to the
has their
top
video
right,
on.
Yep.
Oh,
where
really?
it says
Yeah, so
view,
there's more-
click on
You
that.
don't have
Yep.
to turn the
And then-
video
Got it.
on.
There you go.
Oh,
Got it.
So yeah, you can just join like, Yes. yeah, see on the side, if you scroll, and Todd, we're definitely capturing everybody as you scroll down. There's no
Right.
hands anywhere, okay, and there's no call-ins. We haven't,
Not yet.
okay,
No, because I would be able to see that
Oh,
there's
okay.
more than one
Gotcha.
screen.
okay. Wanna make
Pardon
sure.
us, everybody. This is life on Zoom, right? Moving on to Article 7. Shall the voters of the town of Morgan vote to have all town roads open to ATVs, UTVs from May 15th, 2021 to October 1st, 2021 to be reviewed annually? And if so, an approved ordinance will be written. Are there questions or comments?
Looks like
I'm
Emily.
seeing Lynn,
I have a question.
Jim.
Um,
No, she's
Can
taking
she-
names.
I'm just taking down names. I have Lynn. And then I have Jim, Judd.
Who's Lynn?
She's gonna have to tell me.
Oh, okay.
Do you see who?
Yep,
yeah,
I'm unmuting
okay.
her right now.
Just have her state her whole name.
There we go.
I'm
There we
seeing
go.
the name Lynn. Can you tell us your full name, please?
It's Lynn Berry and Emily Nyman.
Okay,
Emily. I think we should start with the question, what are the rules right now without this ordinance?
ATVs are not prohibited, permitted on our town highways. There is a section of road in eastern part of town, like White Hill Loop and a little bit of Bear Mountain they are now authorized.
They cross Bear.
They cross, but as far as right now, no other town highways are permitted for ATV use.
Okay, so do I have to wait now for someone else to ask a question before you come back to me, or can I ask another question related to that?
Ask another question related to that and then I'll move along.
Okay, are you talking about then all Morgan roads? And I'm not sure the definition of roads. I know that sounds funny, but we have a lot of things that look like roads, but they might not be called that. When you're talking about this ordinance, what are Morgan roads?
Well, we only have authority over, town highways, so to speak. So this wouldn't, private roads are not under our domain. So this would be class 2, 3, or 4 town highways. And obviously this does not include Route 111, just to make that clear. That's a whole nother, there are permitted use on state highways now, but it's a long process. But this is just solely for class 2, 3, and 4 town highways. And this encompasses all of them. So this is just open or not. So all of our roads or no. Yes, it's just a yes, straight yes or no for all of them.
But it's not 111?
No, 111 is a state highway, which is not under the town's discretion. So that's, you would have to, there's a permit process which the ATV club has to apply to have segments of state highways open to ATVs, which has been approved in numerous places around the state. But as of now, that wouldn't be, that's not on the table that I know of, and certainly not anything that we're involved with here.
That would be up to the trail.
Right, that's up to the ATV clubs in VASA to push for that.
But if that came up, would we have a say at all in Route 111, or is that something that's decided at the state level?
It's at the state level. Like I said, there's a process from the ATV club. It's a permit process. And so the club applies to VTrans essentially to get a highway permit for a segment. There's some in this district, there's some on 105 that are open, a small segment. Usually it's just a segment that can allow you to get from one trail to another. So, you might have a 500 yards of state highway that is really pertinent to connect those two segments. And so that's typically what it's used for, that permit process. So Route 58 is another one that comes to mind. So there are cases where it does get approved. But yeah, the application or the permit has to come from the ATV club. It can't come from a private resident. And it typically does need to have the endorsement of the local municipality.
Okay, we'll move on to Jim Judd.
I have an inquiry to start with regarding this ordinance. Last season, we had a meeting regarding opening a certain corridor of ATV travel to see how that worked in an experimental basis in the town of Morgan, and allowing certain sections of roads to be accessing the store, gasoline, current trails. The meeting was not well attended, and the selectmen decided that to put this off until we could have a proper town meeting to discuss opening those particular roadways. Suddenly this year, with a rather limited town participation, we're going to open up all of our roads without any, and here's my question, ordinance. So are you going to see how this vote turns out? If it turns out positive to open the roads, then are you going to write an ordinance and then ask us to vote on the ordinance for roads that are already opened? Or are you going to just write an ordinance that says, this is the ordinance and this is what we're doing?
It has to be town approved. You have 60-day notice.
Yeah, hi, Jim. Thanks for joining. Yeah, things kind of evolved a little bit. We decided that the right thing to do was to allow the people to have say instead of the board independently deciding, yes, we're going to open this corridor. The corridor that was brought to us last year was Sunset Drive, and then a little bit of Morgan Charleston Road, and then Mead Hill. After discussing that, debating at select board meetings, we decided that The problem with doing that is then you essentially could have Charleston residents or Holland residents using our roads for ATVs, but yet a Morgan resident could be unable to use our roads. And we backed off that plan because we just didn't think it was equitable to our residents. And then furthermore, instead of just us deciding to put this in place, we thought it best to allow the people to have a vote on it. We do have the authority to just enact this independently, as some boards have tried. We didn't think that was appropriate. We thought it right to allow the people to have their say. And the reason why we just did it, Jim, is we just did it like a simple yes or no. And then if it does get voted in, then we will put an ordinance together, and an ordinance has 60 days to take effect, during which there can be commentary, appeals, I believe. It's a process. And the timing of ATV season, it opens May 15th. So if it does get voted as a yes tomorrow, it times out well for us to put the ordinance kind of out there. And then that 60-day period will roughly fall around May 15th. So, I mean, that's kind of our logic and thinking. And I know you did attend the informational meeting last year, and we appreciated your comments then. And like I said, we just talked about it more and decided that instead of selecting certain roads, we would just do a straight up or down and see how that looked. And again, if this does pass, it will get reviewed at the end of the year, and we'll take into account every good, bad, and ugly scenario. We're unanimously neutral on this, and it just we just want the people to speak on it. That's all.
Well, go ahead. Can we ask one more question?
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, I had a question. This is Donna Young. I'm concerned about who's going to put up the signs. I mean, for example, we live on Wayese's Drive. It's a dead-end road, except it doesn't appear to be dead end because it continues on as private roads. And there's even a private path through the woods that you can get all the way to Echo Lake from our road. So I don't want ATVs coming through and going on our private roads. I also don't want them turning around in my dooryard. So who's going to tell them before they turn by the cemetery that there's nowhere they can go? So they might as well not even bother turning up Wayese's Drive.
Well, understood, Donna, and I appreciate your comment. I don't blame you. I understand. Typically, the ATV club is responsible for signage, and what our plan is, or what my thinking is, that if this is approved, I will be calling the ATV club immediately and starting to discuss the signage plan. And we will welcome any feedback from specific spots, and we can request that they put certain signage up. I promise you those conversations will happen, and we will make sure everybody's interests are thought of and respected. I can assure you of that, if it so passes. And so, yeah, we would take that into consideration and ask them to put a sign specifically in that area, just saying no access, or however, proper signage that they have for the circumstance like that.
And then who polices it when people don't follow it? I mean, when word gets out that you can actually ride past my house, out my private road, and down a trail to Echo, and people start doing it, who do I call?
Well, typically, I mean, enforcement is a multi-pronged effort with ATVs. The club themselves have enforcement. And then there's Fish and Game are in the mix, state police. There's a lot of different entities that kind of all work together. Typically, the Borderline Ridge Runners, which is our local club who initially proposed, the small segments to be open, they would do a lot of the policing, self-policing themselves. And, but yeah, be multi-pronged effort. I mean, I'm sure it won't be perfect at all times. We can't know that. But yeah, it's a lot of different law enforcement agencies do have domain over ATVs.
So we'll get all that information if the roads do get open. We'll know exactly who to call and to take care of problems.
Yeah. And the other thing, Donna, is I'll have Tammy put on our on our website a link to the ATV laws, just so you can further kind of study what they are. And, you know, I've read through it a couple times and I still keep finding new things, but it's pretty comprehensive and it's very helpful. The state statutes kind of cover everything, and they've just been rewritten and updated, which is helpful. So it covers a lot of kind of modern current issues. And we'll post them on our website, Donna, so you can, if this passes, you can read up about it, and that might spur some follow-up conversation from you. And please don't, if it does pass, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Robbie, or Larry directly, or come to a meeting, a regular meeting. We can talk about some issues you have, and you know, we're happy to work through it with you if it passes. You know, again, we'll have to see how it works out, but.
Thank you for answering the questions.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments before we move on? Then,
Nope. Okay.
okay.
Hi, it's Emily again.
Emily, you're unmuted.
I just want to know, the folks who are driving these, do they have to have some kind of license so they understand the rules of the road? Just like the rest of us who, you know, take tests and have to understand all the rules of the road. How old are the people driving these?
The answer is yes on that. They are subject to the same traffic laws as you and I are. And again, the ATV law statutes are really comprehensive. And they discuss eligibility, registration, insurance, all those things. And they're responsible. The operator is responsible. Just
Can
as
can they be under 16?
they can be under 16, but
Like
they
some
have to
do.
be they have to be under the direct care with them of an 18-year-old.
Right.
So you can have a below 16-year-old operating, but an over 18-year-old must be operating with them simultaneously. So it that covers that little kind of loophole. And yeah, as far as liability, you know, insurance, they have to be registered. They typically, if they're using public roads, they have to have usually a sportsman club sticker and registered with them. So there's a pretty comprehensive, plan in place to cover all of these. And I was surprised at how comprehensive.
So if I'm driving a car and I'm on a road and I encounter an ATV,
Right.
Do they yield to me, I to them? Do I treat them as if they were just another regular full-size car, somebody driving? How do I
Yes,
respond?
I mean, yeah, a short answer would be yes. Obviously, every scenario, I can't, play out every scenario, but yes, typically you just as if it's another motor vehicle. They are subject to the same laws that you're subject to, and they have to follow the same, laws. And I will say also this, just to follow up on that. And when we write the ordinance, if it does pass, we're going to have some set things in there that dictate hours of usage. So we might say, hey, we don't want people out at 11 o'clock at night. And we might say, hey, 9 o'clock. And Robbie and Larry and I, we have to discuss more about this. So I don't want to get too detailed.
It's going to be more oriented around the club that decides. I mean, that's
Right.
They've already set those things, and I mean it's something like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So yeah, it's
Yeah, and
keep that noise level down.
yeah, and there's parameters for sensitive areas like I live on Sunset Drive, so there's a horse farm across from where I live, and
Yeah.
obviously Kristen, had some concerns, and there we can have special signs put up for that, for a sensitive area for a horse, and there's little things that the club can do to mitigate some of our concerns. But yeah, I mean, we'll be able to kind of the ordinance will set the structure to the usage. Now, that's not to say people won't abuse it here and there, but I have pickup trucks driving up my hill sometimes at 70. I mean, you know what I mean? There's people that are going to abuse it, and we just hope if it passes, the vast majority of people will be respectful of our residents and roads, because we don't want Sean to have to fix a ton of roads from the usage, right? So.
Well, yeah, there are other issues there, but so if there's an ordinance, there'll be a 60-day period of time.
Right.
When that ordinance is being written and revised, and sometime you'll let Morgan folks know
Yes.
in case they have some input or more questions.
Yes,
that-
100%. I will have, the ordinance, I would imagine, would be done within a week or two on our end. We'll get that together. We already have some templates that we can kind of, use off and just kind of, we're going to keep it relatively simple just because that's kind of how we like to do it, Morgan, right? So we're going to probably get something in a week or two, and then that would be posted. We'll make sure it's posted everywhere, as well as online. And yeah, like I said, you're certainly welcome to question or comment any part of that to us directly, either at a meeting or you can send me an email. We're all very reachable, and we'll answer any question that or concern you have.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for contributing.
Okay, so I'm now going to turn the meeting over to Danielle Blake, who is the chair of the school board, and because the school board has a brief presentation.
Okay, Todd, I'll wait for you to share that and I'll get started.
Okay.
So welcome, everybody.
All right. I'm almost there.
You're good. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want me to go full screen with that or?
Yes, please. And I promise everybody on the call, this is very, very brief. Okay, let's first page.
Whoops. There we go.
Okay, so this is just covering what Kathy had already covered, really, is that due to COVID, the Morgan School Board elected to move to a virtual informational meeting, and all voting will be done by Australian ballot. It will be done tomorrow, March 2nd, at the Morgan Town office from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. And that no changes can be or amendments can happen at this time during this informational meeting. Absentee ballots are available at the town clerk's office. Next page, Todd. So what you see on the screen is our articles. And so our first article is to elect a moderator. As you all know, that's our typical, the town school district treasurer, the school board director for a term of 3 years. And Kathy, I know you're going to read through these when you do these as well. So our budget, we'll just get right to our budget one. It's $511,000 for fiscal year 22. And that will result in education spending of $12,908 per equalized pupil. And it's actually 2.06% lower than the current year that we're in. Next page, Todd. For everyone's information of the number of students that we currently have at Derby Elementary, it's 32. And as you can see, if you're not on this, if you can't see the screen, I'll read them for you. Kindergarten, there's 3, first grade 5, second grade 6, third grade 7, fourth grade 2, fifth grade 6, and then in 6th grade, we have 3. And in pre-K, although not all of them are at Derby, we have 9 pre-K students. Todd? So just an overall, an overview, our budget decreased by $8,400. The announced tuition rate for Derby Elementary is $10,503. I can't see the full screen, Todd, but so as you can see, the education spending per equalized pupil decreased from the $13,178 down to $13,230. And then we have the tax rates for current year 0.6632 and for next year 0.6767. And then the homestead value changes very minimal. This year is 1.3391 and next year is 1.3366. We do have a fund balance. As you know, we keep a tuition reserve fund if we have extra money at the end of the year. We do keep it in case we have new students move into town. Our budget has very little wiggle room. So currently in that fund is $175,590. Todd, next page. And as I promised, that is very brief, and then I'll turn it back over to Kathy to go through the the articles.
All right.
Am I unmuted?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right, so we're on Article 8. Thank you, Danielle. Shall the voters of North Country Union High School District approve the school board to expend $17,262,000, which is the amount of the school board that the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. It is estimated that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in education spending of $16,640 per equalized pupil. This projected spending per equalized pupil is 1.43% higher than spending for the current year. Are there questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll move on to Article 9. Shall the voters of the North Country Union High School approve the Board of School Directors to place $500,000 of undesignated fiscal year 2019 fund balance from the General Fund Operations in the Capital Improvement Reserve Fund? These funds are intended to offset the heating and ventilation units replacement in A and B wings. The units are original to the building and replacement parts are no longer available. Are there questions or comments on this article? Seeing none, we're on Article 10. Shall the voters of North Country Junior High School District approve the school board to expend $5,195,600, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing year? It is estimated that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in education spending of $16,929 per equalized pupil. This projected spending per equalized pupil is 0.25% higher than spending for the current year. Questions and/or comments? Moving on to Article 11. Shall the voters of the Town of Morgan School District approve the school board to expend $511,000, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year? It is estimated that the proposed budget, if approved, will result in education spending of $12,908 per equalized pupil. This projected spending per equalized pupil is 2.06% lower than spending for the current year. Are there questions and/or comments? I see Donna Young. Jim Judd, Donna Young.
You know which one that is?
I don't.
Jim Judd, it says.
Oh. Okay, let's unmute. There we go.
Okay, Donna.
I was just curious. I appreciate Danielle's presentation, but can anybody tell me, are our elementary kids attending school in person every day of the week, or are they on a partial schedule like the junior high and high school?
Junior high is full time.
The Derby line is too.
So they have the option of going every day. However, the parents, don't have to send their children to school. They can do remote learning, but the school is open 5 days a week for them to attend.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Just to correct a misconception, I believe the junior high is also open full-time.
Yes.
Yes, that's what we're hearing. Okay, Article 12. Shall the voters of the town of Morgan vote to start its annual town meeting on the Monday evening preceding the first Tuesday of March at 6:00 p.m. 2022? Questions or comments?
County for a while tomorrow night.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We're all hoping yes and in person again, right?
You can send it to me.
Okay, that I didn't see any questions or comments. That completes the business we were hoping to get through tonight. I'm going to turn this back over to Eric Pope, who is our chair of the select board. Thank you all for your participation.
I just in closing wanted to thank you again for attending. We appreciate this little strange this year, and but we want to thank Todd Prano for his assistance on the technical side. Todd was a big help and made it running really smooth. I also want to thank Kathy for stepping in as moderator. You did a wonderful job, Kathy. Thank you. We're lucky to have her. And I also want to recognize Tammy, our town clerk, because there's been a lot of changes this year, a lot of strain, it's just a lot of changing guidelines and such. And I think we got everything organized and out the door in a timely fashion. I just want to acknowledge that. Lastly, I think I can speak on behalf of Larry and Robbie, but we consider it a privilege to be able to serve as your representatives. We love the town of Morgan, and I think all of us collectively make it a wonderful place that it is. So thank you all for your participation, and please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us about anything throughout the year that you may have questions or concerns about. We're very open and easily reached. So that's all I have. Thank you again, Larry, Robbie. You guys got anything?
All set.
We have a question, comment.
Yes, I was looking at my ballot. I picked up an absentee ballot, and I'm wondering why we don't get to vote on the Northeast Kingdom Waste Management District this year. It's not on the ballot, the budget.
They passed it that they didn't have to have it this year. They've already passed their own budget.
So
It was nothing to do with.
go ahead, Robbie.
No, go.
Yeah, Tammy's talking in the background. I'm sorry. We're listening to Tammy's response. Apparently, they passed their own budget internally. I say that again, Tammy. Can you maybe unmute and answer, please?
It's because of COVID.
Yeah, well, it's COVID. There's a reason is because of COVID. I'm not sure that adequately.
So we just have to accept what they decided we're going to pay.
Yeah, Jim, I'm sure.
Because of COVID.
I agree. I don't have a full answer to that. If you'd like.
That's interesting. Well, we're not accusing you guys of not doing your job. It was more of a point of interest than anything.
Right. Yeah. I apologize for not having a complete answer on that. We will look into it, Jim, and I will get back in touch with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else to come before us tonight? Seeing nothing, then I'll declare that the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Kathy.
Be safe, everybody.
Thank you, Kathy.
Don't forget to vote tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay well. Thanks.